I don't expect there to be any significant outcome of Mr. Witkoff's meeting with President Putin because there's no evidence yet that President Putin is ready to compromise. The objectives that he continues to underscore haven't changed at all from the maximalist objectives he had at the beginning in late 2021 and 2022 before this full-scale invasion of Ukraine. So, those include, they changed a little bit in as much as President Putin is no longer demanding that all of Kherson and Zaporizhia be recognized as being Russian or part of the Russian Federation. But otherwise, his goals remain the maximal goals, which is the end of the Zelensky government. He calls it denazification, which is really a ridiculous thing to say about a ethnic or a Jewish democratically elected leader. But anyway, demilitarization of Ukraine, as they call it, which is limits on Ukraine's military at a level that Ukraine can't agree to. But the most difficult issue is President Putin's demand that Ukraine surrender territory of Donetsk, all of Donetsk, even the part of Donetsk and Luhansk, so Donbass, that Russian troops have not been able to capture during these nearly 4 years of war. To recognize the surrender of Ukrainian territory, President Zelensky would need amendment to Ukraine's constitution that prohibits the giving up of Ukrainian territory. My most optimistic self would hope that Mr. Witkoff will return with President Putin's agreement to the 19 points that came out of the original 28-point peace plan that Mr. Witkoff negotiated with his Russian counterparts, especially with Kirill Dmitriev. But the Russian side has warned that that longer 28-point plan that was unacceptable to Ukraine and to the U.S.'s European allies was only the starting point of Russia's objectives, and they want even more aggressive points. So it seems that Ukraine and Russia are still misaligned. I think President Trump is likely to put more pressure on both Russia and Ukraine. And I think it's possible that President Zelensky will agree to some territorial concessions that are ambiguous, like, saying that Ukraine recognizes the de facto occupation of Crimea and parts of the Donbass. But I don't think it's possible that Zelensky will agree to say those territories of Ukraine are now recognize them as part of the Russian Federation. So President Putin will need to drop that demand if there's going to be a peace agreement. And I think President Putin, for now, he simply wants to keep fighting. He feels the momentum is on Russia's side because President Trump is now clearly leaning toward Russia rather than Ukraine. I think President Putin thinks Europe is running out of the will or the ability to sustain its support for Ukraine. The U.S. has already stopped its military and financial support for Ukraine. So I think Putin calculates that he has many, many more young men that he can throw into the battle who will die and win time for Ukraine and Europe to exhaust themselves, which would lead Putin then to get his maximalist objectives. It's a very depressing situation.